Happy Halloween, everybody. My name is Ryan Cam, and welcome back to the Horror Movie Iceberg podcast. This is the show where myself and Russell Hauer watch disturbing horror movies until we tap out. And all throughout the month of October, the Iceberg has taken over Fridays here on the channel, and we have now finished up our coverage of the Unfriended movies, all two of them. We're talking about Unfriended Dark Web today. But Russell, how are you?
Good. Yeah, looking forward to tackling another series here, finish another series and going to the next one. Unfriended. Yeah, I saw this one when it came out, and I don't remember it, so it was nice to revisit it. And then it started to obviously jostle some members. I remember seeing it, but like I said, it was one of those films, you know, when you watch a lot of films, it gets lost in there. But I had to look it up, and sure enough, I did see it when it came out. So, yeah, looking forward to talking about this one.
But leave a like, subscribe. If you're listening on audio, leave the 5 stars as well. We greatly appreciate that. But let's get into Unfriended Dark Web.
Leave us alone! Get out of there right now!
I can hear you. Are you still
Kelly,
there?
I can't see you.
This was directed by Steven Susko, who is primarily known as a writer. He had a hand in writing the American version of The Grudge, and the movies, and this is the sequel to the first Unfriended. It tells the story of a group of 20-somethings. One of them finds a laptop and buys it because, I mean, what could possibly go wrong with that? But they find a hidden cache of files on the laptop, which leads them into what is known as the dark web. And dark is the best way that you can describe this. So the first Unfriended, Russell, we talked about last week, it was one of those first like Screen Life kind of horror films that Searching and Missing would perfect. And I maintained there that the first one was good, but this one was way better. And you say you've seen it, but it's been a while. But with a fresh rewatch, What did you think?
Yeah, no, I'm in the same camp as you. I definitely like this one better. I think it does a better job of refining the whole, internet, Skype-esque setup for the film. I like it. They do a lot more with it. I feel like it's a lot more, the environment's a broader environment with just the characters and everything. And I think this one does a really good job of really keeping you on the edge of your seat the whole time and taking you down a different avenue with like the whole entire, like the dark web and the fact that, you kind of don't know. You think you know what's going on until the back end, but I'm not going to ruin anything with that. But it's like one of those things where you think you know what's going on, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute, okay. But I do appreciate the, the effort. Actually, you can tell that this movie wasn't like half-assed. I think this movie, like, really, there was a lot of thought, and I think there's, like I said, a lot of thought that went through this film.
The movie came out in 2018, and I feel like a lot of it is still scarily pretty relevant to this day. With the internet how it is, you just never know who's out there. And I mean, this is a very heavily embellished idea of what that might be, but rather sadly, there are a lot of bad actors out there. And nothing demonic that we have seen by the grace of God. But I think in a weird way, this movie kind of touched on the idea of the internet is not as safe as you think it is, better than some other movies who try to do that and kind of fail.
Yeah, no, I think that this one takes a harder left. It goes down a avenue of like how dark things can get and what can happen. And I think it is like a cautionary tale to kind of watch what you're doing on the internet. But on the same token, it's like, majority of the people, the older people obviously have common sense on what to do, what not to do. I think this film, like I said, I really think it does a lot more in that. I don't know. I feel like it's more creepy because of the fact that it's the unknown of the dark web. You know what I mean? Like there's, you always hear these horror stories and all this other stuff about the dark web, and it's like kind of a place you just don't really like to talk about. And I think, like I said, I think this film does a really good job of keeping you on the edge of your seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it already starts out pretty pretty tense because one of the characters buys this laptop, finds it in this internet cafe, and they begin to see these messages from the laptop's owner, and you slowly get the sense that maybe the whole finding of the laptop was not really that big of a accident as it was made out to be. Again, no spoilers, but let's just say there's a lot going on here. The files are honestly pretty disturbing, like if you think about it.
Oh yeah, and it's scary because of the fact that we all have this kind of technology, and we obviously know that the government has the ability to be able to track you, obviously with your cell phone. But it's like the other things that you're not thinking about, like what happens when you do power off your laptop? Can people watch? Can people tap into your Ring? Your Ring doorbell cameras and stuff like that and see inside your house. Like, it's very invasive and it's scary because of the fact that this stuff can happen. They even talk about how they can get onto your Wi-Fi, attached to your Wi-Fi, and then, are able to have access through your cameras of your house, kind of know where you live and see the surrounding areas of where where you live. If you have a camera that shows like streets and stuff like that and neighboring houses and stuff like that, it is kind of disturbing if you think about it. So I like the fact that they go through this extra step to really draw a little bit more fear in you,
Yes. And like, to your point, that's why VPNs are becoming so popular nowadays. So, like, sadly, there's just a lot of bad actors out there. And I mean, this is very much a work of fiction. There's definitely a lot of over the top stuff, but sadly, there are a lot of people like this out there. Yeah. And I could be tipping my hand on the ending here. I won't spoil it, but it's pretty dark. And it really leads down to the dark web is not a good place. And the people that occupy it are usually ones with A, too much time on their hands, and B, the amount of F's that they give having a hole in the bottom. So they have no F's to give.
Yeah. Yeah. And the fact is that, these people can be use their talents for good and for, positivity out there. And of course, aren't, like you said, are being bad actors and just kind of using their abilities of hacking for negativity. But again, cautionary tale to those that contemplate the dark web.
Yeah, and something to note, and I guess, and I won't tip on the actual ending, but there were not one, not two, but 3 alternate endings to this. I can read them off, Russell, if you are interested.
Yeah, I saw that on Wikipedia. I wish I don't know if I don't think I have this movie on Blu-ray or DVD. Did they put the alternate endings on that at all?
I mean, I believe they did. I
Okay.
believe that was the case. If I'm picturing the DVD in my library now, it does say alternate endings on there on the back.
Okay.
So I believe that was the case. But it's interesting, the concept of having not 1, not 2, but 3, count them, 3 alternate endings.
Okay. So what were the
so the first one, Matthias, the main character, goes to a park where he is going to meet his girlfriend who is deaf, and he ends up being buried alive. And they hack his phone to where it just texts to Amaya, "I wish I could sign better," which is a very confusing for her because it's like, what does that mean? But he basically dies. He goes the way of Ryan Reynolds and Buried, if you know that.
That's crazy.
The second one is Matthias is led into a warehouse where he is kidnapped by the Sharons, and they're called the Sharons, which is why Russell's named Sharon 68 here. And they basically leave him in this empty warehouse with a gun, and they take bets on whether or not he does the deed. They don't show what happens, but it's left vague. But it's like playing into that whole, they're just sick freaks that are getting like some fun off of it.
Well, yeah.
And then Matthias and his girlfriend then both get kidnapped. This is the third ending. The Sharons vote on whether or not they should do it. One of them plays a video called they_earned_it.m4v. And then it shows Matthias extorting one of the Sharons through Bitcoin, which would have been a weird reference in 2018, but maybe Bitcoin was becoming more of a thing back then. I'm not sure. But anyway, Matthias still dies, but there's more involving with the characters in that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I like the F. I don't know. They're, not a spoiler, I guess I should say. They're all dark endings. I mean, so it doesn't really for the dark web, obviously. I don't know which one I prefer more. The one that we got was okay. I mean, I don't really. I mean, you could have done it either way, and I think it would have been. I mean, it's driving its point home either way. You know what I mean? It's, So I don't really know what to really make of which ending you would prefer.
Yeah, and won't spoil the actual ending, but what you do need to know is that pretty much everyone it's a bad day for everyone. We'll just leave it at that.
There's no positivity in this film.
No, none whatsoever. Like I said, the biggest compliment that I can give is that you're stuck with these people and you're stuck with them for there's no way out. So there's leaning into the helplessness of it all. It's it's a consistent tone and they stick with it. And I admire just the general consistency of that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, they stick to their guns with it. The Sharons are just a very powerful organization, group of people. And you kind of realize that these guys all have their backs up against the wall with this group because of said found laptop. You know what I mean? So I think it does a really good job of sticking to its guns with this. I do like the fact that I feel like it's more engaging. I feel like you are invested a little bit more with this one as opposed to the first film. Just because of the fact that I feel like our characters have a little bit more of backstories. We have Matthias, obviously, has a girlfriend, Amira, that is deaf. And then you have a lesbian couple that is engaged to be married with one another, but I think the one's family members don't approve or something. And then you have another kid that lives in the UK, I think. I believe is he England? The one that knows yeah, I think he lives in England, and he's very tech savvy. And then you have who's the other one? Then you have the other kid that is oh man, who am I leaving out here? Who's the other kid?
There's the conspiracy nut.
The conspiracy nut. Yeah, he has his own podcast and YouTube channel or whatever. Yeah, but I like how we actually have character development in between the interaction between characters, and I like how he has to hurry up and panic when he has to do sidebars to communicate sometimes while maintaining a Skype conversation with everybody. I like that. It's very under the gun, and you can feel the stress. You can feel the stress throughout the film, what Matthias is feeling, how he's under the gun here. He has to hurry up and communicate while he knows that there's no internet service so that the Sharons can't tap into what he's talking about. You know what I mean? And then it's well, when the green lights goes on up, they have internet connection, and it's crazy. It's like a race against the clock almost,
Exactly. I'll tell you, the scariest part of the movie for me was when the conspiracy nut, they hack his internet and they basically make it he's gonna SWAT, he basically gets swatted. Yeah. And what happens there is they basically rig it so that the police just shoot him. And they download a shotgun going a sound effect like that, and they make it so he has a gun, he's ready to open fire, and so the cops just blow him away. Yeah, that's terrifying. That's a terrifying prospect, right there.
So what if he didn't get the brand new speaker system? Would he be okay? I mean, that was the whole thing. Obviously, if he didn't get said speakers, the new speakers that sound so good, the surround sound or whatever, you know what I mean? Maybe he's still alive. Maybe they have to think of a different way to try to get him to, manipulate, use his words, I guess, against him or whatever. But yeah, that is scary. Like I said, I think there's just a lot more thought that was put into this one.
Yeah, I think overall, my grade, I'm going to give this a great rating. Definitely better than the first one. I enjoyed both, but I feel here It takes the idea and boosts it quite a bit. It's a bit of a shame that there have only been 2 Unfriended movies because they're not like all-timers, but I think in terms of the screen life horror genre, they're some of the better ones. And I think in 2025, 2026, you could do more with the idea of this. Like, this was in 2018, and a lot of this is scarily aged pretty well. So imagine what you could do with something like AI and generative AI, and like they play around with deepfakes in this movie in 2018. So imagine what someone could get their hands on, like with Unfriended 3, like Even Darker Web or some other catchier subtitle than what I just pitched.
Yeah. Or even having like something like you said with AI and having it to where it's like they can record you committing violent acts or whatever that you didn't even have any part in doing and giving it to, authorities and stuff like that. So you can go down that avenue too, just because of the fact that you are almost 8 years later of technology has just gotten stronger in the past 8 years. You know what I mean? Things have only,
I tell you what I need though. I need the live streamer horror movie, like Deadstream, but played totally straight. Like someone who's like a pro streamer, like does it like 24 hours, but then like gets himself into some deep stuff and he can't get out of it. I need that. Something like that.
Yeah, something happening like live time, like that would be fun.
Yes, but I pass it off to all of you. What did you think of Unfriended Dark Web? Let us know in the comments. We would love to read what you have to say. Russell, it's a privilege to do this with you every Friday. Thank you so much for putting up with all the scary shenanigans all throughout the month of October. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, no, it was always good. October Scary Movie Month, always enjoyable time to look at the spooky films, so it's always a good thing. You guys can find us Notorious by Chance on the Facebook group. Catch us out on YouTube, Notorious by Chance. I think, again, just post some more videos. Football season, left side, strong side. Always talking about football. There's a football game going on right now. The Ravens are playing the Dolphins. So I'm sure everybody will be chatting about that as well. So you guys can check us out there. NBC Podcast on X and NBC Podcast on the TikTok.
All the links down below. Go give them a subscribe over there. As far as this channel goes, when we return to the horror movie Iceberg, we'll be doing another standalone movie, but we'll be doing it's a movie from one of the bigger horror directors going on right now, Andre Overdahl. We're going to be taking a look at Troll Hunter. That was his first big break. But next Friday we will be returning to the 1960s. We'll be taking a look at Brides of Dracula and September Storm. But for all of that will be next week. For Russell, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you all in the next one. Y'all take care.